The dinner rush at Willow Diner was brutal that night. The kind of night where every table was full, every order took twice as long, and every customer seemed determined to complain about something. The cheap lights buzzed overhead, the jukebox skipped every few songs, and the icy December wind made the front door slam open every time someone entered. But for Emily Carter, none of that mattered. She had learned long ago to work through exhaustion, frustration, and the ache in her feet. She didn't have a choice. Not when she had a paralyzed brother at home depending on her. Not when every extra shift meant one more therapy session paid. Not when her life felt like a tightrope stretched over a pit, and falling wasn't an option. She balanced a tray on one hand and scribbled an order with the other when she noticed him for the first time. An old man, slumped in a wheelchair near the corner booth by the window. He must have entered quietly, because she hadn't heard the door. No one greeted him. No one asked if he needed assistance. The other waiters walked past him without so much as a glance. Customers looked at him the way people look at something that makes them uncomfortable, just long enough to acknowledge his presence, then quickly away as if guilt might cling to them. His hands trembled badly, rattling the spoon he tried to lift. The soup in his bowl sloshed dangerously close to spilling. His face was thin, his hair white, his shoulders hunched forward. He tried again to lift a spoonful to his mouth, but the tremor shook it from his grip, splashing liquid onto his shirt. Emily froze mid-step, her chest tightened at the sight. Something about his eyes, dim, tired, almost defeated, hit her harder than she expected. It reminded her of how her brother looked after the accident, how helpless a person could feel when their own body betrayed them. She set the tray down and approached him slowly. "Sir," she said gently, "are you all right?" The man lifted his gaze. His voice didn't come out. Instead, he gave a small shake of his head, his lips parting as if to speak, but no sound escaped. Emily's throat tightened. She knelt beside him without hesitation. "May I help you eat?" He blinked rapidly, and for a moment, his eyes shone with something fragile, gratitude mixed with humiliation. A single tear slid down his cheek. Emily pretended not to notice. "Don't worry," she said softly. "I'm here." She took the spoon, stirred the soup, blew on it, and held it to his lips. He accepted it carefully, slowly. His hands stopped shaking so violently. His breathing steadied, the tension in his jaw eased. Emily fed him spoonful after spoonful, talking to him the way she would talk to her brother, gently, calmly, as if the rest of the chaotic diner didn't exist. No one else in the restaurant paid attention. But someone outside did. Across the street, in a sleek black SUV with windows tinted nearly to black, a pair of sharp eyes tracked every move she made. Lucas Hale, billionaire CEO of Hale Industries and one of the most powerful men in the city, sat in silence, unreadable as he watched the young waitress tending to his father. His father, the man people once called the Steel Wolf, had been reduced to trembling hands and a wheelchair after a vicious attack earlier that year. Lucas had hired the best doctors, the best nurses, the most expensive caregivers money could buy. They all quit. Some said the man was too difficult. Others said he was too broken. Some whispered that Lucas himself was the reason. That the emotional wounds in the Hale family ran deeper than anyone dared to admit. But there, in a cheap diner under flickering lights, a young woman with tired eyes and fraying sneakers treated his father with more dignity than anyone else had in months. The security chief sitting beside Lucas cleared his throat nervously. "Sir, if you want, I can bring your father in. We didn't expect him to wander so far. We can take him home and—" Lucas raised a hand sharply. "No." The security chief swallowed. "Sir, I want to see how she treats him when she thinks no one is watching." One word described Lucas Hale perfectly: calculating. He didn't believe in coincidences or goodwill. He believed in motive, strategy, leverage. But the kindness he witnessed from Emily didn't look like strategy. It looked painfully, disarmingly real. He studied her face intently. The exhaustion she hid well, the softness of her voice, the patience in her movements. She acted with gentle familiarity, as if she had known his father for years. As if she saw the man behind the disability. But just as Lucas leaned closer, something shifted inside the diner. Two men entered. Dark coats, hard eyes. They walked with purpose, scanning the room. One of them pointed subtly at the old man in the wheelchair. The other pulled out his phone and snapped a covert picture. The way their eyes locked onto his father made Lucas's stomach clench. He spoke without turning his head. "Do you see them?" "Already on it," the guard said, lifting a small communication device. "Do you want them removed?" Lucas narrowed his eyes, studying the men's body language. "Wait," he said slowly. "Not yet." He wanted to see whether they approached his father directly. Whether Emily noticed. Whether she would protect the old man without realizing the implications. Inside, the two strangers exchanged a quiet whisper. "That's Hale, the old one. No guards around. This is the best time." Lucas's blood ran cold. Outside the SUV, two more security cars silently pulled up, waiting for orders. But inside the diner, Emily wiped the corner of the old man's mouth with a napkin and smiled gently. "There. Better." He nodded weakly. His hand, trembling, moved toward hers as if searching for comfort. Emily didn't flinch. She held his hand lightly, grounding him. Something in Lucas's chest twisted unexpectedly. Then the two men made their move. They strode toward the table, blocking Emily's light. Their shadows fell over her and the old man. "Sir," one of them said smoothly, "we need a word with you." Emily's body stiffened immediately. "Can't it wait?" she said, forcing her voice to stay calm. "He's eating." The one on the left glared at her, taking a step closer. "Move. This doesn't concern you." Emily instinctively stepped in front of the old man, her small frame shielding him. "It concerns me if you frighten him." The old man shrank back, eyes wide with fear. Lucas felt something ignite inside him. Something like fury. Something like pride. Something dangerous. "Sir," his security chief whispered, "we need to act now." But Lucas was already reaching for the door handle. Inside, the men's patience snapped. "Move, now." Emily swallowed hard but didn't budge. "If you don't step back, I'll call." "You'll call no one," the man hissed, grabbing her wrist. That was the moment the entire diner fell silent. A cold voice cut through the air behind them, sharp as broken glass. "Take your hand off her." Everyone froze. Emily turned slowly. There he stood, Lucas Hale, tall, imposing, eyes like winter storms, a presence that made everyone else shrink back instinctively. His tailored suit absorbed the diner's weak lighting, but his glare lit the room with terrifying clarity. The man holding Emily's wrist paled. "Sir Hale. We didn't know you were." Lucas stepped forward, and the air seemed to tighten around him. "You didn't know," he repeated softly, dangerously. "That much is clear." He leaned in, voice low and lethal. "What's unclear is why you were within 10 feet of my father." The men stumbled back, palms raised. "We were just." "Leave," Lucas ordered. "Before I decide you don't get that option." They didn't wait to be told twice. They bolted from the diner, nearly tripping over themselves. Outside, Lucas's security seized them instantly. But inside, Lucas turned to Emily. She expected him to be angry, dismissive, cold. Instead, he knelt beside his father and fixed his coat with careful, trembling fingers, an intimacy so unexpected it stole Emily's breath. Then he looked at her. Those storm blue eyes were unreadable. "You fed my father," he said quietly. "Why?" Emily blinked. "Because he needed help. People have ignored him all day," Lucas replied. "Why didn't you?" "A lot of people need help," she said simply. Tonight, he was one of them. Lucas stared at her for several seconds that felt like minutes. Then he said the words that would begin to change everything. "You did more for him in an hour than my entire staff has done in months." Emily felt her cheeks warm. "I didn't do anything special." "You're wrong." She swallowed, unsure what to say. Is he really your father?" Lucas nodded once. "He is." And before she could speak again, he added softly, "And because of what you just did, your life is about to change." Emily felt her heart skip. "What do you mean?" Lucas stood slowly, towering over her, his expression shifting into something dark and decisive. "You'll see soon enough." Emily didn't know it yet, but by feeding a lonely old man in a quiet diner, she had just stepped into a billionaire's world, one filled with danger, secrets, and enemies who had already noticed her. Emily stared at Lucas, still trying to process the chaos that had erupted around her. One moment, she was feeding a lonely old man in a diner. The next, a billionaire had walked in with security teams, Dangerous men were being dragged out, and suddenly she was standing in the middle of a war she didn't understand. The old man, Lucas's father, clung desperately to her hand. His fingers, thin and trembling, wrapped around hers with surprising strength. It broke her heart. She didn't want to leave him like this. But she also didn't want to be dragged into something she had no business being part of. Lucas watched her carefully, noticing every flicker of fear crossing her face. His voice softened in a way she didn't expect from a man like him. "You're not safe here anymore." Emily blinked. "Why would I not be safe? I didn't do anything." "You did," Lucas replied. "You showed kindness. Real kindness. Do you know how rare that is? Especially toward someone with my father's last name." His security chief approached, leaning close to him. "Sir, more men are circling the block. Likely the same group. They're regrouping." Emily felt her stomach flip. She looked toward the windows and saw shadows shifting, dark silhouettes lurking just beyond the neon glow. Lucas stepped closer to her. "Emily, you need to come with us." She backed up instinctively. I can't. My shift isn't over. I need this job. I can't just walk out." Lucas tilted his head, studying her. Most people obeyed him instantly. Most people feared him. Emily wasn't afraid of him. She was afraid of what might happen if she wasn't careful. His father tugged at her sleeve again, eyes pleading. Emily's voice cracked. "I don't understand what's going on. Who are those men?" Lucas glanced toward the door, his jaw tense. "People who would love to get their hands on my father. Enemies who want leverage, power, revenge." He paused. "And when you stood up to them, they noticed you." Emily's breath caught. "But I'm a nobody." Lucas looked at her sharply. "Not to my father. And now, not to them." The words sliced through her chest like cold wind. "Sir," the security chief interrupted again, urgency thick in his tone. "We can't stay. We need to move." Lucas nodded once. Then he faced Emily again. "Get your coat." Emily hesitated. "If I go with you, what happens to my brother? He's home alone." Lucas surprised her by answering immediately. "Tell me where he is. I'll have someone sent to watch over him." Emily opened her mouth, confused. "You'd do that? For a stranger?" Lucas met her eyes. "For the woman who kept my father from having a panic attack, fed him, and stood between him and two armed men. Yes, I would." She swallowed hard. She wasn't used to people helping her. She was always the one helping others. After a long moment, she exhaled shakily and nodded. "Let me grab my things." She rushed behind the counter, grabbed her backpack from the staff locker, and hurried back. Her manager shouted at her as she left. "Emily, your shift isn't." But the second he saw the armed security team and Lucas Hale, his face drained of color. He closed his mouth and stepped back without another word. Emily stepped outside with Lucas's father still holding her hand. The cold night air hit her instantly. Goosebumps crawled up her arms. Lucas's presence behind her felt like a shadow and a shield at the same time. A convoy of black SUVs waited at the alley exit, engines quietly humming. Men with earpieces scanned the surroundings. This wasn't a simple escort. This was a full-scale extraction. Lucas gently guided his father into the main vehicle, but the old man didn't release Emily's hand. Instead, he tugged again, eyes wide and frightened. Emily glanced at Lucas helplessly. "He doesn't want me to leave." Lucas's voice softened. "Then get in." She climbed into the SUV beside the old man, who immediately leaned against her shoulder as if she'd been by his side for years. She fought the urge to cry, not from fear, but from the fragile trust the old man placed in her. Lucas slid in opposite them. The door shut. The locks engaged. The SUV pulled out with a smooth but urgent motion. For a long moment, none of them spoke. The city lights streaked past the windows, the night swallowing them whole. Then Lucas finally broke the silence. "You didn't tell me," he said quietly, "why you helped him." Emily stared ahead. "Would you have asked anyone else that?" Lucas's eyebrow lifted slightly. "I'm used to people pretending to care because of money," he said. "You didn't know who he was. So I want to know why." Emily thought for a moment. "Because my brother is like him now," she whispered. "Paralyzed. Afraid. He cries sometimes when his body won't do what he wants." Her voice trembled. "I saw your father struggling. And I couldn't watch it happen without doing something. Lucas sat straighter, studying her with a deeper kind of understanding. "What happened to your brother?" he asked. "A drunk driver hit us," she said. "He can't move from the waist down." She swallowed hard. "I've been taking care of him ever since." Lucas leaned back. "So that's why you didn't hesitate?" Emily nodded. "He reminded me of my brother." Lucas looked at her for a long moment, then away. Something in his expression shifted, something guarded cracking slightly. "My father wasn't always like this," he murmured. "Someone tried to kill him. They failed, but they took more from him than I ever imagined." Emily felt the old man's breathing steady as he rested his head on her shoulder. "He must have been strong," she said softly. "He was," Lucas replied. "He still is." He paused. "But his enemies think he's weak now. Vulnerable. That's why they came tonight." Emily's blood turned cold. Why was he alone? Shouldn't he have guards? Lucas's face hardened. He slipped out. Tonight was the first time he'd left the estate in months. He exhaled. "I didn't even know he was gone until my security flagged his wheelchair outside the diner." Emily shook her head slowly. "He must have been so scared." Lucas looked at his father again, jaw tightening. "I didn't realize how much until I saw you with him." The SUV slowed as they approached a gated entrance guarded by men with rifles. Beyond the steel gates stood a sprawling estate. Tall walls, bright security lights, towering pines. The vehicle passed through multiple checkpoints before finally pulling to a stop in front of a mansion so large it made Emily dizzy. Lucas exited first and helped his father out. But the old man's grip on Emily didn't loosen. Instead, he held tighter. Lucas sighed softly. "He wants you with him." Emily followed them inside. The mansion was stunning. Marble floors, chandeliers, art worth more than her entire life, but cold. Empty. Like a beautiful shell with no warmth inside. A professional caretaker rushed forward. "Mr. Hale, sir, you were not supposed to leave the premises." Lucas raised a hand. Later, 2 security guards approached Emily, not threateningly, but with confusion. "Sir," one said quietly, "protocol requires identifying the girl." Emily stiffened. Lucas turned to them sharply. "She's under my protection." The guards stepped back immediately. Emily's heart pounded. Protection from what? From whom? Lucas's father was taken by the caretaker toward a private elevator. But before he disappeared inside, he reached out suddenly and grabbed Emily's hand again. The caretaker looked surprised. He doesn't usually let anyone touch him. Lucas's eyes flicked between his father and Emily. "Stay," Lucas told her softly. "Please." She followed them into the elevator, unsure why she felt too stunned to protest. The caretaker guided the old man into a beautifully furnished room. But the moment Emily tried to step back, he panicked, letting out a soft whimper. The caretaker looked helpless. I think he wants her to stay until he falls asleep." Emily nodded and sat beside his bed. She held his hand until his breathing slowed, his eyelids drooped, and he finally drifted into a peaceful sleep. Only then did she rise. Lucas stood silently in the doorway watching her. Their eyes met. "Thank you," he said quietly. Emily swallowed. "Is he going to be okay?" Lucas nodded slowly. "With the right people around him, maybe." Emily stepped toward the door. "I should go. My brother will be worried." Lucas held up a hand. "My men are already watching your home. He's safe." Emily froze. He stepped closer. "You saved my father tonight," Lucas said, voice low. "Now I need to save you." Emily felt gravity shift under her feet. "What do you mean?" Lucas didn't blink. "The men who came to the diner won't forget you. They saw you. They'll assume you matter." His voice grew colder. "And they're right." Emily's heart dropped. "I don't understand." "You will," Lucas replied. "Because as of tonight, you're part of this. Whether you chose it or not." Emily wanted to believe her life would return to normal after this night. But as Lucas guided her deeper into the Hale estate, she had no idea that the danger outside the diner was only the beginning, and that someone inside the mansion was already watching her, waiting.